Hello, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Extra Pop Podcast, the podcast where I will be talking about all things pop culture. I'm your host, Christian, and before we get started, please follow and subscribe to the Extra Pop Podcast on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, and check out the podcast on Instagram at Extra Pop Pod. I feel like we're moments, if not days, away from a Taylor Swift tour announcement, so I decided to make this episode all about concerts. Concerts are like one of my favorite things to go to. I love the entire experience. I love the act of going to the venue and making it a whole event among my family and friends. I love being able to buy merch in person, and especially hearing the songs I love live. Studio versions are good, but live versions sometimes just take the cake. The Reputation Stadium Tour version of I Did Something Bad by Taylor Swift was a moment in time, and I wish that Taylor released that as a studio version because I feel like that version is just 10 times more dramatic and what the song needs. That version made me love the song 10 times more than I already did, and that was already my favorite song off of Reputation. Something like that is so small, but is also really unique because only the people that go to the concert get to experience that live. Another thing that I really like about concerts is that it brings together a lot of like-minded people into one place. It's not common that I can walk around and reference Taylor Swift to people and actually have them understand it, but I know if I were at a Taylor Swift concert and I referenced one of her songs to someone there, odds are they would know what I was talking about. All of these people that are like-minded are there to have a collective experience, which is like attending the concert. The energy and atmosphere that concerts have with the combination of the excited fans and the artists is unmatched. In my opinion, it's a really different experience going to a concert rather than just watching a concert movie. Yes, you might get the same music, but it overall just isn't the same. Going to concerts is also one of the most unique experiences because it's different every single night. Artists that go on tour all around the world, even if they have multiple nights for the same city for the same show, unless they're lip syncing, every show wouldn't look or sound identical. Every night would have a different crowd, so one night you could have a really loud and energetic crowd, whereas the next night could have one that's kind of silent. Every person in the crowd is also having a very different experience just in terms of where they are. I'm sure someone who is sitting in the back row of a stadium is having a very different experience to someone who's in like center stage pit. One thing I really love about going to concerts are the memories that they create. I remember every single concert that I've gone to, and they're all special to me in different ways. I love the feeling of adrenaline while waiting for the show to start, not really knowing where the night's gonna go or what the artist is gonna do. I remember the first concert I went to was to see Hilary Duff when I was 4 years old, and it was because I was just obsessed with Hilary Duff at that time, and my dad got the whole family tickets. I remember when the lights turned off for the concert to start, and I was afraid of the dark, so I cried. But when I realized what was happening and I saw Hillary on stage, I know I was getting down and dancing up a storm when I was 4 years old. And then I ended up going to see Hillary Duff again when I was 6. I really love how my family has kind of made concerts a thing that we all go to together and make like a big event. We went to see Hillary Duff for me, and then we got to see Avril Lavigne for my sister. My dad also took me to the Fearless tour with Taylor Swift when I was 10. And then I went to the 1989 tour with my aunt when I was 14. And then I went to Reputation with my aunt again when I was 19. I've been to a few Taylor concerts and they were all amazing. So I was supposed to go to Loverfest in LA, but that ended up getting canceled. So Taylor and Midnight's tour, is that actually happening? I feel like it's on our radar. Oh my god, I also forgot that my whole family went to see Rihanna, but the only reason why I begged to go is because Kesha was opening, and at that time, I loved both of them, but I really wanted to see Kesha sing Tik Tok. So I got to see Rihanna and Kesha on tour once, and this was in like 2009. A few episodes ago, I talked about going to the Chromatic Ball to see Lady Gaga, and I literally went with my parents. I feel like I just have really positive and fond memories of going to concerts from when I was a kid, which I think has led me to love concerts the way that I do today. If I didn't go to concerts the way I did when I was younger, I don't know if I would have felt as comfortable going the way I am today. These days, I will literally go to a concert alone, and I do. One of my pet peeves in general are forcing people to do things that they don't want to, and I feel like I don't want to have to force people to spend time with me. And knowing that I love doing these things and I love going to concerts, if you don't want to go, you don't have to go. So I'm not going to force you to go, because if we go together, I'm not going to have a good time watching you not have fun doing something that I want to do. So I would rather go alone and just enjoy my time by myself and actually get the experience that I would want. And if I go to a concert and I want to dance, I don't want to be judged by the person that I'm literally with. Find people that match your energy and just stick with them. And if you don't have people that match your energy, it's fine being alone. Trust me, you're better off spending your time by yourself than being with people that drain your energy. If you go places and do things with people that don't match your energy and don't look at things the same way you do, I think that it could end up ruining your experience there, because you have this idea of what you want to feel in your mind, and with someone being negative and not wanting to at least let you enjoy it, it's, at least for me, in the back of my mind the entire time that I'm there. And I feel like I'm just constantly checking if they're having a good time. When, if I'm at a concert for Meghan Trainor, I love Meghan Trainor. Why am I checking if you're having fun nonstop? Just make sure you're going to these things to have the best time that you can. I unfortunately might have had to learn that the hard way, but it's okay. I am happier by myself, and that is it. At least I know for the future now. Anyways, next up, I wanted to talk about some of my personal favorite concert experiences, starting with going to Meghan Trainor's Untouchable tour. This was the first time that I met Meghan and the first time I ever did a VIP experience at a concert. So that's why it's very special to me. I talked about this entire experience in episode 2, so I'm not really going to get into it now, but if you do want to hear it, I would suggest going to watch or listen to that episode next. Another concert experience that I really ended up loving was going to see Ali and AJ this year. There's kind of a wild story to go along with it, and I'm going to tell you it. I got the tickets last November or December, and at that time I had no plans for when the concert was scheduled for, which was April 30th. The one thing I did know about that time was that it was after my exam schedule, so the concert wouldn't affect that. And I had a trip to go to Florida planned for June, but that wouldn't affect the April concert. Those were just the things that I knew were coming up. Long story short, something kind of big comes up for May 1st, which was the day after the concert, but it was not in town. So I had to leave to go away a few days before the concert, which would cause me to miss it. At this point, I'm just sitting on the plane minding my business and listening to Charlie XCX. I check my email right before the plane takes off to see that Ali and AJ's tour bus broke down in Montreal, and the show that I was about to miss is postponed, which means now I didn't have to miss the concert. But on the other side, the concert was rescheduled to, I think, June 8th. That's the same day as my graduation from university. Thank God that I had a morning graduation and not an evening one, because I was able to go to both, and I was literally changing my clothes in the back of the car while leaving the graduation and going directly to the concert. That was wild. I was also very happy because I didn't get to miss out on the tour exclusive vinyl. I got a VIP package to get the exclusive tour 7-inch, and then I also was able to get the numbered A Touch of the Beat album, the tour exclusive one. I will make sure to put pictures on the screen. It all worked out in the end, but that's still a wild story for me to tell. I'm trying to think of other concert stories that I have. Oh, I won tickets to see Ariana Grande on her honeymoon tour when I was 14, so that was really fun. Oh, I also went to see Ariana Grande for her Sweetener and Thank You Next tour. I went to the show on her birthday, And towards the end of the show, her mom and like her family came into the pit and were dancing, and it was so cool. I think I could honestly say that the Sweetener and Thank You Next tour was one of my favorites from Ariana, and she just puts on such a good show and has such a good live voice. She's another artist that I think sounds exactly like her songs in the best way possible. I loved the Thank You Next album so much, so I decided to make the record of the week on Essency Records. Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, pressed onto 2LP black vinyl. The album is housed in a beautiful gatefold sleeve, and this is what the disc looks like. I think my personal favorite song off this album right now is Bad Idea. This album and all in-stock products are actually 15% off right now on essencyrecords.com until October 21st at midnight for the 1-year anniversary of Essency Records. And if you spend over $50 Canadian, you will also get a free Extra Pop tote bag with your order. You can add this album to your record collection today on essencyrecords.com. That is ESSENCY records.com. On last week's episode, I asked if any of you guys listening had any concert stories to share, and I was pretty surprised that so many people had good stories, but I ended up narrowing it down to my top 5 favorites. The first one I have is from Deacon, and his story is, on June 1st, 2022, I went to the Avril Lavigne Bite Me tour, which was my first ever concert. The openers were an all-female band from Ontario called The Beaches. They were great performers, and I actually became a fan of the band. Then, after The Beaches was Avril, so the lights went dark, and you see a big curtain with the silhouette of Avril holding a set of balloons on the stage, and then you hear the beginning of the song Cannonball. The curtain drops, and you see Avril put the balloons down and continues on the show. Then, at the end of Cannonball, streamers shoot out of the cannon. Towards the end of the show, or not, she sings Skater Boy and confetti shoots out the cannons again. Everything goes dark, but the house lights don't go on, and the whole crowd shouted the words, "One more song," and Avril's name. And then you see smoke fill the stage, and visuals go up of Avril underwater, then blue lights go on, and Avril started singing Head Above Water. Everyone's phone lights went up, and the show ended. It was amazing. The first thing I want to say is thank you for sending in a message, and that sounds like an amazing first concert experience. All of it seems so positive and so happy, and seems like you'll remember that for a long time and remember exactly how you felt going to your first concert. I also really love when artists have screens behind them with cool visuals on that, so I really like that you mentioned that. And the curtain effect that you were talking about kind of reminds me of Taylor Swift's Red Tour, and when she started the tour with State of Grace, it was kind of similar, and like the curtain came up. I didn't go to the Red Tour, but I started watching videos on that, so that kind of reminded me of that. The next story I have is from Angela, and she said, "Hey, I have a concert story. I almost missed the 1989 tour Night 2 in Toronto because I had a major kidney stone attack. I was rushed to the hospital and was in the hospital until 3 p.m. I had floor seats for the first time ever in the B section. It was also my sister's birthday and she works at the hospital, so like she really wanted to be there on her birthday. But since she is a nurse, she was able to get me in quicker. I ended up leaving around 3 p.m. and got all my stuff ready and caught the train to Toronto. We made it there around 6 p.m. to the Rogers Centre, and I was completely high on Tylenol 3, so the concert was a complete blur to me, but at the end of the show, I passed those kidney stones. On the way home, it was a 2-hour train ride, normally 1, because there was an emergency on the one car. Thank God it wasn't me this time. Anyways, that's the craziest story I had to share for a concert. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you passed the kidney stones, and I'm also glad you got to go to the concert, because I know if that were me, I would probably be doing the same thing. That also sounds like a lot of pain to have to endure while a lot of lights are like flashing and like the music's like bumping in your face. But you did it and you got to go to the concert. I also understand the pressure of you just had floor tickets. Obviously you want to go. I'm just glad you're okay. And even though the concert was a blur, I hope you remembered at least a little bit of it. The third story is from my brother-in-law, Atma, and he wanted me to tell a story of going to the Dua Lipa concert earlier this year. Him and my sister got me tickets to go to the Dua Lipa Future Nostalgia Tour, and at the concert, towards the end of the show, somebody literally set off fireworks, unauthorized fireworks, inside, and it wasn't the people working there. Things like that just ruin the whole experience of going and make people scared of going to concerts. It is just unnecessary. People could have gotten really hurt if a firework hit them. And how were they let inside? Because when I was going, they checked my bags, but clearly they didn't look for someone having a firework. I don't get it. Anyways, the fourth story is from Jacob, and his story is, "Hi Christian, this is my concert story. I went to see Charlie XCX for her crash tour in Dublin in May, and she served the house down. Excellent live performance. She knows how to move and put on a show. Vocals were also hot. The crowd was so hyped up for her and screamed for every second. They had signed vinyl at the merchandise booths at the concert too, and I was happy to get one since I didn't get one from Charlie's website. This was my first concert since lockdown and my first time seeing Charlie, and it was excellent." These are the kind of stories that I love to read. Look at the kind of thing that one person has to say after going to a concert. I just want to say that I'm so happy you had a good time at this concert. I really wish I got to see Charlie this year. My schedule just didn't end up aligning with her tours, so I couldn't go, but I'll see her one day. Oh, and I'm also glad you got to get a signed vinyl, because that's pretty cool too. This final story is from my best friend Laura, and she actually sent in a voice message, so let's take a listen to that one.
Hi Christian and fellow Extra Pop listeners. So my concert story comes from 2019 when I went to see a band called Real Friends. It was a really great show, and during that show, a friend and I decided that we wanted to do some crowd surfing. I'd done some crowd surfing before, but she was much more well versed in it, so I was really trusting her with the process. So we decide to go up during one of the songs, and we're being hoisted up onto the stage. She gets on the stage first, so I'm still in the process of surfing the crowd. So she decides to jump off of the stage and get caught by the audience so she can get back into her spot, and my goal is to get on the stage so I can do the same. But what happened was, when she was jumping off, instead of other people in the audience trying to grab her, the people that were carrying me decided to try and catch her. But that's not how it works. So what happened was I ended up falling from 6 feet straight down onto my head on concrete. Yeah, it was quite an experience I will never forget. I was very scared to crowd surf after that, but I managed to get back on the horse 3 years later, and now I'm back on the crowd surfing grind. But to anyone who wants to crowd surf, just be safe and make sure that the crowd knows what's going on above them.
Oh my God. Thank you for the audio message, because that hearing it in your voice made it so much better. I can't even imagine how that felt. I'm literally speechless at the fact that they dropped you on your head. You must have hit it so hard. I'm glad you didn't get a concussion. That story kind of reminds me of that Katy Perry video of her crowd surfing, and they were not holding her good. At least that experience didn't stop you from crowd surfing, even though you came back to it 3 years later. The one thing that all of these stories have in common is each person has created memories from a concert that has lasted them a long time. Whether the memory is really fond and positive or a bit scary and wild, all of these things are concert experiences that make them all unique. These experiences that people have at concerts can't really be replicated in other places. Personally, I guess I've just had really good experiences at my past concerts. It has led me to keep wanting to experience the rush and excitement that I get there again. And I also love the feeling that I get when I'm there. I also really love that everyone has their own music taste, and different concerts can appeal to different people. The different genres that tour allow different groups of people to attend these concerts, within reason, of course, because it's not like every single artist is going on tour, and if they do, it's not guaranteed that they're going to be coming to the place that you are. not everyone is a fan of Taylor Swift or Meghan Trainor, so being able to have other artists that are coming will just appeal to other people. On the opposite side of the spectrum, as much as I love concerts, there are definitely some negative aspects that go along with them as well. One of those things is if I'm going to a concert where the artist typically sings live and is known for singing live, I'm not going to deny that I do get disappointed when they don't or if it's an obvious playback. There's definitely one offs where an artist is caught lip syncing once in a while, but they're not known to. That I'm not counting. Or artists that are known to lip sync, that I'm not counting because you go knowing they're going to lip sync. I just mean artists that you go expecting them to sing live. Like Taylor Swift, I feel always sounds live, and it's just something that you kind of expect after a while. Another thing I don't like is when people are really aggressive at concerts, people will fight to get in front of you at a concert and just push you out of the way. Because I really don't love having to fight for a spot. And if it's a seat, you can't really fight me if I bought my ticket. This next negative thing doesn't really have anything to do with the actual act of going, it's the process of buying tickets. I really don't love having to do pre sales and wait in those queues. It's too stressful for no reason. You have to fight just to get into the virtual queues. And I also hate the prices that scalpers do. And I hate that scalpers would try and buy up all the tickets just to sell it for like 4 or 5 times the price. And if it's not scalpers, it's Ticketmaster Platinum. Those random seats that are held by Ticketmaster to sell on a fluctuated price based on demand, and you don't get anything extra. It's basically like buying a resold ticket. Why does that exist? The experience of buying tickets makes it not fun. It makes me not want to go. I can honestly say that I've never really been disappointed from the actual concert itself. It's just all the effort that takes to actually go sometimes makes me annoyed. Speaking of concerts, do we think a Midnight tour is coming? Or a Folk Lover More Nights tour? I feel like a world tour is in the works right now. I don't know when or if it'll come anytime soon, but I really think a tour from Taylor is long overdue. I said this in a few episodes ago, but we've had 6 albums since Taylor's last tour: Lover, Folklore, Evermore, Fearless Taylor's version, Red Taylor's version, and now Midnights. A tour is coming. World Tour, Taylor Swift World Tour, Folk Lover More Nights Tour. It's also officially release week of Midnights. I can't believe it's actually here. I can't believe it's this week. I have my lover pillow ready and waiting. By Friday, our lives are gonna have changed for the better. We will have Midnights and Taking It Back by Meghan Trainor, both of them in our hands by Friday. What are we gonna do to celebrate? Where did we leave up on the last tracklist updates? I didn't go over Taylor really in last week's episode, so let's just acknowledge the mayhem that Midnight's Mayhem with me actually was, especially that night when Taylor mayhemed until morning and released a new track off the track list until she was done every single hour. That is the reason why my sleeping schedule is messed up, because of Taylor. Now that we actually have the whole track list, let's go through it. Number 1, Lavender Haze. 2, Maroon. 3, Anti-Hero. 4, Snow on the Beach featuring Lana Del Rey. 5, You're on Your Own, Kid. 6, Midnight Rain. 7, Question. 8, Vigilante. 9, Bejeweled. 10, Labyrinth. 11, Karma. 12, Sweet Nothing. 13, Mastermind. And now for the Target Deluxe tracks: 14, Hits Different. 15, You're on Your Own, Kid, Strings Remix. 16, Sweet Nothing, Piano Remix. First of all, Lana Del Rey is on Midnights. I predicted this. Can we roll back to a few episodes ago? Also, I know I'm not ready for the Karma song. I like the title Lavender Haze. I don't know why, but it just kind of makes me laugh. I like that the title names aren't boring. It's not like I thought they would be, but I just kind of like seeing the titles that Taylor comes up with. Bejeweled also is Taylor Swift at the VMAs. She was bejeweled. I'm also really excited for the Target songs and to hear the remixes. Taylor also posted a schedule for this weekend, and let's go over that. This Thursday, we have a teaser trailer on the third quarter of Thursday Night Football on Prime Video and Midnights at Midnight. Friday has the Midnights release, a special, very chaotic surprise at 3 a.m. The Antihero music video comes out at 8 a.m. and the TS Antihero Challenge on YouTube Shorts. And then at 8 p.m., all of the lyric videos are coming out. For Saturday, she has for us to stream Midnights and to grab the exclusive Lavender Edition vinyl at Target. For Sunday, she has to visit your local record store and to stream Midnights. Monday is the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon appearance. Tuesday is a second Midnights video release. Wednesday and Thursday are to stream Midnights and to watch the videos. And then on Friday, Taylor is going to be on the Graham Norton Show. This sounds like one busy week, and I can't believe that all of this is actually happening. Taylor's definitely doing something at a local record store in New York this weekend. I have no idea what it is, but I'm just saying the vibes are leading to that. And I definitely feel like she's also hitting up a Target to pick up her vinyl. My assumption is that the second music video is for Vigilante because she held the phone upside down for Antihero and Vigilante on Midnight's Mayhem with me on TikTok. So that's my guess just towards that. I feel like all of this is going to be worth the wait because it seems like Taylor's really excited and put a lot of time into planning, and that makes me really excited too. Meghan Trainor's album is also coming out this weekend, and they're my two favorite girlies. So if you're a Taylor fan and you like pop music, please check out Meghan Trainor's album 2 this weekend. It's called Taking It Back, and it'll be out on Friday at midnight, same time as Midnights. And you can also pre-order the black pressing of Taking It Back and the 4 variants of Midnights on essencyrecords.com. I believe that's all we have for this week. Thank you so much for listening to the Extra Pop podcast. I still can't believe we're 10 episodes in and we're just doing what we do. I'm honestly so happy with this podcast and what I've done with it so far. I do all the work for the podcast by myself with minor help once in a while. I don't really have a co-host or anyone to really push me to do this other than myself. So I'm just really glad that I'm keeping up to date and making a new episode every single week. Don't forget to subscribe or follow the Extra Pop podcast on whatever platform you're listening or watching on, and follow the Extra Pop podcast on Instagram at Extra Pop Pod. You could also check out my online record store to pick up your copy of Ariana Grande's Thank You Next album pressed onto black vinyl, and at 15% off, might I add. And you could also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Essency Records. That is ESSENCY Records. And finally, my personal accounts are at Christian's Reputation on TikTok and at Christian's Vinyl Collection on Instagram. I'm your host, Christian, and I'll see you next week on the Extra Pop podcast. Bye.